Hi everybody, my name is Javana Plummer. I'm a graduating senior in the English department, and the title of my segment is Chaos and Magic. And the reason that I titled this segment Chaos and Magic is because it's also the title of a book that I'm working on, but I'll get into that later in the presentation. So if you look on the screen, you'll see two quotes. At the top it says, "You molest, you rape, you blame us." And then at the bottom it says, "Victim blame, a victim with 7 billion names." And the top quote actually comes from Suhair Hamad, and the bottom quote comes from me, because throughout this presentation, I'll be taking her work and combining it with my work because I feel like her message resonates in my own work. So this is a quote I pulled from her poem, Suicide Watch, and I just feel like it really speaks to what she was trying to get people to recognize about this plight that we see in America. And although she wasn't African American, I think her experience with African Americans helped her empathize with our plight and understand it. So I'm going to just read an excerpt from her poem, Suicide Watch. She said, "Ain't no time for thoughts of suicide. We got to entertain homicide. But billboards bombard us with Calvin Klein crotches and butt cracks. Bag of crack bodies and body bags. Color girls commit suicide buying ugly lies and no lies straight and straight nose lies. Thinking the rainbow ain't enough. Anyway, the rainbow was a slave ship. Let it rain, the kind that got no end. No rainbows and no green pot of gold. Wash them thoughts out of your fried head of Glocks and pops against your brother, of bitch and whore against your sister. Time to dust the dirt off our brains and stop sniffing it up our noses, tying our own nooses with drive-bys and daddy bye-byes with beat-up women and gun-sporting children." So the reason that I chose her as the author that I wanted to analyze further was because I feel like in her poems, although she was talking about these really negative experiences, which you could categorize as chaos, she was able to essentially bring these things to life, and it was almost magical, and it was something that was beautiful. And that's something that I actually seek to do in my own work, and that's why I wanted to tie it into the book that I'm working on, because this is a story about ancient Black societies, and they're facing a great war, but even with that, they're embracing the magic of their chaotic lives. So to end off my presentation, I'm actually going to do an original poem called March to Freedom. The honey dripping from your coils is like a snack that never spoils because it's wrapped all up in foil made from melanin, black oil, castor. Quick to cast her if her skin is closer to alabaster, closer to the master's tent. In these slums, we pay the master's rent because the masters went and gentrified the little we might have had, locked up, killed, and abused our dads, drugged out, raped, and broken down our moms, so that all I have in my palms, so that all I have in my palms is a calm before a storm, because I was born into a second class. Therefore, I was born to be second to last, but I'm fast, so you'll see me pass you up. I found a purpose in my pain that I don't need to explain because I get it. I'm good. I'm bougie from the hood when usually from the hood is this image of violence. But people like me, we just stay silent. We put our heads down, hands up, but we still end up in handcuffs just as frequently as the ones speaking in that hood vernacular. We count the blood like Dracula, thinking it's miraculous we even made it out alive. We wear the mask so that we can survive the cold winds bustling, but we not shucking and jiving. We ducking and diving. We are surviving in a world not contrived for someone who is Black. No matter how much designer you wear on your back, underneath it is a target. I thought my brother might turn into a convict. That night they stopped him over a broken tail light. I identify with Sandra Bland's plight because, that could have been him too. We don't know when to be Black and when to be safe. The target on your back is the target on my face. They targeted him for his race, and he almost faced jail time for a tail light. We don't have to wonder what is hell like because we inhale since we inhale. J. Cole articulated that thought so well. I thought we would put a nail in my brother's coffin because this stuff just happens so very often. My sister might be talking like Corin Gaines, and next thing you know, she got a bullet through her brain. Electroconvulsive therapy. Enough pain to drive a people insane. Some of us already slipped. Almost 400 years since they packed us on those ships, and some of us dipped because we knew death was better than bondage. Black Panther, man. He paid homage to so much of our Black American history. It's no mystery that most of us went twice and thrice. I was in Costa Rica eating them beans and rice, and I started thinking about my privileged life. Although I'm still under a knife, the fact that our stripes have stratifications shows the devastation of the colonization in the name of civilization, although the real barbarians was the ones who pillaged nations in the name of their Napoleon and Christopher Columbus complexes. Haiti was one of the first Black countries to annex themselves from tyranny, but they paid reparations because the French couldn't handle the devastation. Don't excuse my French. To a bet. You want to call out those countries? Bet. America must be the toilet bowl because you sure carry the stench of countries you have pinched for their very last inch, because give a colonizer an inch and he'll gentrify. If you wonder why these curls so tight, it's because they're pyramids of light. Giza. Did your ancestors have their visas, or did they find their way inside? Okay. I'm sorry, I lost. Did your ancestors have their visas, or did they find their way inside? You show your ignorance and your bigotry to your beloved country's history. You act like it's a mystery we not pledging allegiance when the Star-Spangled Banner was a ballad to anti-Blackness. I attacked this like a rant, and now I can't even remember my main point. To cap off Women's History Month, I won't anoint lackluster activism. I won't overlook the problems with prisons, and I won't be giving this too many revisions because the light of my ancestors has arisen. This poem has the luminescence of the North Star. This poem is a railroad car in the Underground Railroad, but of course that's a metaphor. I spent 31 days soaking, and now I'm headed for freedom. April showers bring May flowers. May's haze bring June's rays, but why'd you lie? Why'd you tell me lies about my inferiority? An August of winds busted in for a September to remember, an October to never look over, a November to find tender, a December to make dinner to feast your January jubilee. By the time you get to February, you'll discover love and see how we can march to being free. I had one more slide because I was just going to go into the poem. So that was called March to Freedom. And one thing that I like to do in my poetry is actually just play on words to give a deeper message. So the title is March to Freedom, but it also lends itself to the double meaning of March to Freedom. Because you think of freedom marches like the March to Selma or the March on Washington. So that's something that I wanted to tie into the poem. And then also at the end when I was talking about the months and how I went through each month, but I was also talking about us physically marching, but also the month of March. And I wrote that on March 31st, which is why I said I spent 31 days soaking. And I said to cap off Women's History Month, because right now I'm on this journey to write 365 poems in 365 days. So it's just one of the ways that I want to use my voice as an artist and as a poet to really, just to really speak on things that we face. And even when we were talking about literature and democracy in the course, as a Black person in America, I understood what they were going through. And when they were talking about Augusto Pinochet, you could find parallels to Donald Trump and just everything that's going on right now in this country in regards to white supremacy and just different messages of anti-Blackness and misogyny, homophobia, and just everything that minority communities really suffer from. And I really like Suhair Hamad because she really honed in on minority solidarity. So I did say that she wasn't African American, but she was an immigrant. So she understood at a certain level and to a certain extent. And I just really resonated with her as a writer, and I wanted to just expand on her work. So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening. And now I think we're going to stand up. Okay.
So like now I guess we're having like question and answer. You guys think?